I think we should get started. You guys want to hear the next speaker? Yeah. Okay, so we're introducing Deanna Becket, and she is growing the habit of greatness. Here's Deanna.
Good afternoon. Have you crashed from your lunch yet? I just said backstage, now I have to pee. Thanks, Cheryl, for telling me to drink more water. Where's Cheryl? I think Cheryl left. Oh, there you are, you're hiding. Oh, she's in the bathroom. Well, now that you know my height, my weight, my age, and my body fat percentage, I can hide nothing from you now. But I do want you to take a trip with me. My family and I have a husband and 2 kids. They're teenagers now, but they were middle school at the time. We took a trip to Denver, and we drove out of Denver, up the hill, up a mountain, up a winding road. And of course, we had to creep out of the traffic, out of the massive amount of cars. And of course, as we crept up the mountain, the cars lessened. And as we kept on creeping up there, we had to take an exit and wind up even more windy roads. We went up to the highest paved road, Mount Evans. It was 13,500 feet-ish. I've never had altitude sickness. We're at 3,500 here. I thought, nah, we won't have it. We got up there, and I could feel it. As we were driving and winding up these windy roads, we kept on seeing lesser and lesser trees. The tree line, at the tree line, not much grows above that tree line. We saw some clouds coming in. There was a lightning storm moving. We parked the car at the parking lot and proceeded to climb up the rest of the hike. We got about 3/4 of the way up, and the hair on my head stood on my back, stood up. I don't have hair on my back, hair on my neck. You would have never caught that had I said it, right? And I said, I'm not going back up there. I went back to the vehicle, sat and waited it out. The lightning passed, and we continued to climb the mountain. And we stood on top, and it felt victorious. And there should be a picture coming up soon of the top of Mount Evans. It was huge. But just like very little grows past that tree line, few people have growth after graduation. Would it surprise you to know that 1/3 of high school graduates never read another book their entire life? And 42% of college graduates never read a book their entire life. Now, I'm sitting in a room of excellence, and I know a lot of you read. I've talked to a few of you, and you like reading actual, real books. So we bring that average up a little bit. But reading is just one way to greatness. Genesis 1:26 says we are made in God's image. We are his likeness. And Jeremiah 29:11 says God's plan for us is to prosper us, not harm us, but give us a hope and a future. That is great. That is greatness. I mentioned a lot of Benjamin Franklin virtues in my book. There's 13 of them. We're only going to mention 2 today. He once said, many people die at age 25, but they're not buried until they're 75. I hope that is not you. With Christ, we renew our minds daily if we choose. It's our choice. So I promise to leave you 2 keys to implement Benjamin Franklin's virtues. Like Jen said, those number takers, note takers, 2 points, and I will say number 1 and number 2. Number 1 is facing fear, and then you can flip the page and write number 2, outlasting opposition. If you're ready, say ready. So key number 1, facing fear. And facing fear sometimes comes with developing self-confidence. Benjamin Franklin's virtue, resolution, defines it how I want to approach it. Resolve to perform what you ought. Perform without fail what you resolve. Do what you say what you do. I had low self-esteem, just naturally occurring. You know, there wasn't much confident development back when I grew up. I was 17 when I graduated high school because I'm an August baby. And my goal after high school was to graduate, go on to college, earn a degree, whatever that looked like, and climb the corporate ladder. I wanted to earn and grow and develop and do it on my own. I didn't have an idea of marriage, kids. I wasn't about that at all. Well, I walked into my first semester of college with a boyfriend. And since I had that low self-esteem, that relationship fell quickly apart. And then I fell quickly apart. I had this fun nugget buried in the side of me. And I didn't take that time to focus on my studies. I focused on drinking, partying, and chasing boys. That's how I was building my self-esteem. I was the type of person that would go through the grocery aisles, and there would be a child screaming in the next aisle, and I would be the type of person that said, "Shut your kid up." I was one of them people. Well, I went into my second semester drinking, partying, chasing boys. And by May, I discovered I was pregnant. Me, the one who does not like children. Well, I avoided reality, and I took a position in Boston. Being a nanny. Me, who doesn't like children. It was a great summer, though. I learned patience. But being pregnant and denying it, I got to be in shorts, swimsuits, all summer long, didn't have to face anything like that. Well, August came around and I had to move back home, back to North Dakota. And I had to face reality. I was going to have a baby. I was going to have a baby. It would have been so easy in Boston to have an abortion. It was accessible, could have hidden it, covered it up, not even known about it. But I would have known. I was raised to know that that wasn't the right choice. So I came home and flipped through the yellow pages. For those of you under 30, that's Google in paper format. I flipped through the yellow pages and looked up adoption agencies. I thought that would be a great choice. I met with a counselor, and we walked through my choices, my options, how they did things. And she said I could pick the couple who couldn't have babies and give them a family. Perfect, I said. She asked me, "Have you told your family yet?" Whew. I had to tell my mom, my dad, my younger brother and sister, that I, their perfect eldest child, their perfect oldest sister, was going to have a baby. I'll never forget that night. Mom, Dad, I've got to tell you something. I'm pregnant. My dad about came out of his chair and he wanted to kill the boy, but he calmed down after a little bit. Mom offered to raise the baby. I said, "That's not fair for you or the baby." My brother and sister were in a little shock, but we got through it. They came alongside me. We walked through the process, and in February, I had a baby girl. I was due on Super Bowl Sunday in January. The friends that I was hanging around with asked, "When are you due?" I said, "Today." They moved away. But 10 days later, she came. 2 days after the baby was born, I got to hold her, feed her, dress her, and name her. And then we said goodbye until we both grew up. I hope to meet again. She's 28 this year. Whew. Now, I wish I could tell you that I turned 180 degrees. Completely changed the way I acted, the way I behaved, But in addition to having low self-confidence, now I added on this guilt, this remorse. It's not really remorse, but there's a lot of feelings that build up. I had anger, I had resentment towards the boy, towards me in the choices. But eventually, I turned around. I could have stayed stuck for decades, blaming others, falling into my ruts. Guilt and the words from others and myself brought me down. I had those doubts building up in me. So how did I rise out of that slum? Well, I asked God to give me patience. He found me a husband. He brought me children. But most importantly, he introduced me to an amazing Bible study, which I know a lot of you are from, Bible Study Fellowship here in Rapid City. 8-9 years of delving into the Bible really opens up your eyes. I learned to focus on others, not myself. That took a lot of years. And then I started talking to myself. You talk to yourself every day, right? You do it all the time. There's something going on up here all the time. Now, who was it that talked about positivity? Jen, right? Where's Jen? There we go, thank you. Positivity was not a natural thing for me. It had to be developed, and I developed positivity. And we're going to practice developing positivity right now. The words we speak, the thoughts we think come out in our actions. So, since we just had lunch and we need a little stretch, everybody stand up. We're going to practice some words that we can speak to ourselves. So you can take a little stretch because it feels good. You may think these are crazy to say out loud to yourself, but this is what brought me life and what brought me out of the slump. Are you ready? I want you to repeat after me. I have joy, peace, and life-giving energy of the Holy Spirit given by God. Perfect. How about something easier? I overflow with hope. Awesome. I am healthy, happy, and whole. I commit my work to the Lord, and my plans will be established. I am joyful and peaceful in all situations. And since I got to be up here with Cheryl, I'm going to have you share my affirmation that I've just developed this week. I am a fat-burning machine. All right, have a chair. I have these in the back, not the fat-burning machine part, but I have these in the back for you. A lot of you have picked those up. They are yours to take. They have the Bible references in there. Now, there are days when I don't feel victorious. I don't feel like that person on the mountain. I don't feel great. I don't even feel positive. Then I sometimes look at the calendar and go, oh, that's why, a little PMS going on. But there are days when I don't feel like it. I waver in my belief. The subconscious is working full time, even while we're sleeping, and we've got to consistently feed that subconscious. That's where the enemy lurks and works. I live with James 1:6-8. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all they do. Wow. Unstable in choices. I have a heck of a time choosing from the dollar menu. Chicken, burger, ooh, frosty with fries. Do you ever have those troubles? We've got to believe, not doubt, and not be double-minded. Never second-guess yourself. 2 Timothy 1:7, somebody said it, I think Cheryl in her closing. We have not been given a spirit of fear, but power, love, and self-control. One of my favorite readings or phrases, writings, comes from Marianne Williamson. She says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people will not feel insecure about you, around you, We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in each and every one of us as we let our own light shine. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Doesn't that just breathe life into your soul? So God's great light is in each and every one of you. What's holding you back? Like me, it's probably just ourselves. That was key number 1 for you note takers. Key number 2. I swear Jen and I did not compare notes at all. Key number 2, outlasting opposition. Ben Franklin's virtue industry is summarized like this: lose no time, be always employed in something useful, cut off all unnecessary actions. You remember the story of Isaac and Rebekah. They were married and had a set of twins, Esau and Jacob. Jacob was Joseph's dad from the story that we heard earlier. Esau and Jacob were twins. Esau was the hairier one. Esau had a craving for good food. Anybody relate to that? And Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of soup. But I love the story about Isaac on his deathbed. He knows he is failing. And he calls in Esau, let me get these names right. He calls in Esau and says, go hunt and prepare your best dish. Bring it to me, and I will give you my final blessing. Well, if you know the story, Rebekah's favorite was Jacob. She called in Jacob and said, this is what's going to happen. Go kill 2 goats, and I will prepare the meal. Jacob didn't want anything to do with it, but he went along with Mom's story. That's another session all by itself. But what's important about this is understanding the power of words. Isaac's blessing goes like this: May many nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed. There is so much power in words. We've heard that when we speak to others, but what are we speaking to ourselves? And what are we talking to ourselves? And it reminds me of gardening. How many of you garden? How many of you have abundant fruit this year that made it through hailstorms? I'm very jealous. Mine are wiped out. But if those of you that have planted and have gone through the hailstorm and come out successful, you are reaping the fruit of what you planted. And it's just like what we do in our mind. We sometimes will plant seeds of doubt. Maybe we've planted seeds of worry, seeds of fear, seeds of anxiety. And they grow on their own. They don't need much help. But when we add fertilizer, like the manure of Facebook feed, Twitter twaddle, Snapchat snarl, and negative news, what do we get? We get nasty, gnarly weeds, don't we? And we have to pluck these weeds out, whether we're gardening in the ground or we're gardening in our mind. Those weeds will come. If we feed our mind things like positivity, beauty, great words, excellence, this is the fruit that we see. What we've planted in our minds 5 years ago, 5 weeks ago, 5 days ago, we're reaping today. So how do we change? We've got to change the seed and then the manure that we feed it. So what we plant today is going to come tomorrow, in a month, in a year, and in 10 years. What seeds will you plant to build courage over fear and build greatness? There is a connection between the mind and the pen and paper. I encourage you to write down the ideas. What will you plant to build these things in your mind today? What media will you ditch to manage the manure, and what weeds are you going to pull? And what life-breathing music, speakers, or books can you add to your day? Well, obviously we're sitting here because of the Christian music stations that are on, so I encourage you to tune in to any one of them. So we've reviewed one. What was point number 1? Facing fear. What was 2? Awesome. Like I mentioned before, I've got the affirmations on my table in the back. I've also have orange copies of Benjamin Franklin's 13 Virtues. I encourage you to grab those. They are my free gift to you. My book is available as well. Oh, I suppose you want to see what that looks like. There we go. And I just have to do a little plug. Pastor Craig did a review for me, and it's on the back cover, just so you know. He's pastor of this church. So, but most importantly is feeding your mind. I'm going to leave you with this final affirmation from an African pastor. It's long, so I'm going to have you stand up. And I want you to breathe these words in. You can stretch, you can do whatever you need. And then we're going to say a couple of last-minute affirmations when I'm done. So breathe these words in. I am part of the fellowship of the unashamed. I have Holy Spirit power. The die has been cast. I have stepped over the line. The decision has been made. I am a disciple of His. I won't look back, let up, slow down, back away, or be still. My past is redeemed. My present makes sense. My future is secure. I'm finished with low living, sight walking, small planning, smooth knees, colorless dreams, tamed visions, mundane talking, cheap living, and dwarfed goals. I no longer need preeminence, prosperity, position, promotions, plaudits, or popularity. I don't have to be right, first, tops, recognized, praised, regarded, or rewarded. I now live by faith, lean on His presence, walk by patience, live by prayer, and labor by power. My face is set, my gait is fast, my goal is heaven, my road is narrow, my way rough, my companions few, my guide reliable, my mission clear. I cannot be bought, compromised, detoured, lured away, turned back, deluded, or delayed. I will not flinch in the face of sacrifice, hesitate in the presence of the adversary, negotiate at the table of the enemy, ponder at the pool of popularity, or meander in the maze of mediocrity. I won't give up, shut up, let up, unless I've stayed up, stored up, prayed up, paid up, preached up for the cause of Christ. I am a disciple of Jesus. I must go till He comes, give till I drop, preach till all know, and work till He stops me. And when He comes for His own, He will have no problems recognizing me. My banner will be clear. So I want you to say with me, I am great. I am a child of God. My banner is clear. Now, go grow the habit of greatness every day so that your fear is conquered and your fruit is abundant.